what's going on, everybody? Jesse James, Average Idiot, Eastern Kentucky's only AI-powered podcast / vlogs. We do lawn care, landscaping, pressure washing, house washing. We do it all. We just talk about life, talk about a little bit of everything. We drink coffee through a straw. Why? Why are you drinking coffee through a straw? Well, I will tell you. Why I'm drinking coffee through a straw, because it bypasses the blood-brain barrier going straight to the dome. A friend of mine, Jeremiah Bannister, taught me that science. It's a scientifically proven coffee through a straw bypass blood-brain barrier. Scientifically proven. So with that, we're going to let our coffee keep us energized for this perfectly awesome interview. This is like a part 2 interview. We did it a couple weeks ago. I think I had the COVID or something, but it's okay because I'm a welder, so it's probably cancer. No, I'm just joking. But I was sick. I didn't feel good. Runny nose. Had some major issues. The podcast did not turn out good on my part. Camera kept falling. Kid kept getting in the way. The dog was barking. I sounded like a country song. It was all bad. So with that, I appreciate you guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit all the buttons. You guys know Mr. Jim from Indigo Home Services, but he still has a channel, the Dirty Lawn Thug. He's out there. He's in your comment section. If he makes a video about you, it's usually a good thing or a really, really bad thing. So keep your game tight, son. Hey, welcome to the channel, Mr. Jim. I appreciate you coming back on a second time. I know it's aggravating, but I did not like the first one we did.
That's all right, man. It's like, when we're filming videos for YouTube or, any kind of social media, how many retakes do you actually do? Because that's not right, or,
something's not right here. This don't feel good. This don't feel right. Yeah. And that's just what it was. I was sitting in the truck, and I was just like, you know what it was. As soon as it go on, I hear my phone go on. That's that guy that the landscape project I wanted to do. Speaking of which, I don't know about it now. I'm getting kind of aggravated because his wife picked up some gardenias, I can't exactly know how they say them, but they're bushy. They get to white petals and they get white and stuff. They're pretty. Mm-hmm. But I said, okay, cool. Are you going to do this landscape or do you want me to do it? And he's
good question for him.
Because I'm fine with it. And, maybe, and this is probably even leading into, because I really didn't want the project. I want to do the project. Is it going to I'm not going to allow it to interfere with my job, being a parent and a good spouse, but also my washing business, because I want to focus mostly on washing, but I need the money, kind of want to do the work. Well, I want the video, I want the money. So now that he did that, I've kind of not ignored him, but kind of taken a step back because, I've been busy, and it's just, I don't know. What do you think about that? Have you ever had someone just buying plants and then wanting you to implement plants? Because I get it. That's fine.
Usually what I will do is if people start buying plants, I'll back off just like you did. Right. And that's what I've just naturally done, because number one, see where they sit, ask questions like you did. But,
super nice about it. It might've sounded abrasive, but it was super nice.
I don't want to put plants in the ground that somebody else bought.
Right, because I lose my money that way. That's where.
Well, you lose money, but also if something starts going wrong, they're going to blame you one way or the other. Well, Jesse put them in the ground. They were perfectly fine until they went in the ground. Yeah. It doesn't matter. If they were at Home Depot, they might not have been watered for 2 weeks. They were going to, they're on their way out no matter what you did. And I will not. And there's a lot of people, well, I'll buy their plants. You put it in. You're not saving any money. Number one. Right. Number two, no.
Right. Yeah. See, and I think that's kind of maybe where they're wanting to go. And, from where I'm at and where I want to go, okay, if they wanted to do something like that, if I didn't have to guarantee anything, I don't know, I can see it, but I that's not how I want to do it, because I don't want to just work and put stuff in the ground. The idea is I want to learn how to design something and do the whole process. It's kind of hard for me to learn because there's going to be, if I keep hitting with little landscape installs, there's going to be times where I buy the wrong something and it doesn't go right. I'm going to make mistakes, but it's kind of like, if I don't have that kind of stress and that kind of pressure of having to get it right, and they're just buying it, all I'm doing is showing up with a shovel. I don't know. It just feels like I'm mowing grass at that point. I'm not designing anything. Does that make sense?
And that's what, it makes you feel like you're just their labor guy. You're not doing anything.
I totally lost once they sent that, I've kind of totally lost, and didn't even read it. He literally just texted me, so I haven't even read it, what he's trying to do. I'm sure it's something like, hey, I haven't heard from you in a day or so. We still gonna, because I work with a guy. We still want to, blah, blah, blah. My work week starts tomorrow. I'm sure it's something similar along that. If you want to get a hold of my wife or whatever, something,
Right.
I'm sure it's something simple, kind of want to touch base. And it's like, I just don't know. I think I could rather, I think I can spend my time elsewhere. Why is it? Because they still need their house washed, but I don't know if it's a pack. I don't know. They know that I want to wash their house and they want to get the landscape. I only want to wash their house because they said they need it and they're willing to pay, but I'm not going to be held up. It's something I'm not going to be held up by. I've been held up by the people like this before. And it was like,
I'll tell you this, usually
flag.
9 times out of 10, if you get a weird feeling about somebody, you're right.
Right. I totally agree because, well, let's use this kind of going in our first topic and clients are not your friends. Okay.
No.
This is something that I struggled with for the longest time, to where everybody has a sad sap story, especially when you're starting out in business, or everybody wants a good deal. Everybody wants to, whatever. But hey, take that shit up the road, because I mean, that's the way it is. But I can't. Oh, it's easy to say that. You don't just shut up. Yeah, I know. If anybody watching my YouTube channel, y'all have seen me mow hours at a time for next to nothing. We're talking $50 and thinking I'm getting a good deal, or doing a project and at the end of the project being like, well, since if I didn't, I've struggled before not setting prices, and then be like, I thought we was going to be around this much. Then it's like, well, what do you think the job's worth? It's like,
yeah,
no, hell no. Hell no. So
and in doing that, the only place for you to go in price is down.
There's no room. There's no room for any kind of like whatever. It's like, real quick before I interject. I'm gonna interject because I'm gonna clean a ceiling, it's in like a mudroom, sunroom type thing. And they asked, I said, hey, I don't really do it. It's kind of detail work. And they said, yeah, whatever. It's a small room. It's a vinyl ceiling. So I'm just gonna get, just use the same thing, but on a sponge, not with the pressure washer. It's going to take me some time, but a small little room, I'm charging $200. I'm going to be in and out of there, pretty quick. And they were hesitant. That's how I knew my price was right. Because they said, well, and it's not, I mean, I would never pay someone $200 to clean this little room, but I'm going to do it. It is what it is. I don't want to do it. So this is kind of little lessons that I'm learning. This is my second go around in business, to where I'm kind of being a little more picky. Before, I'd be like, yeah, I'll do it. What do you think? I don't know, $100, $50, somewhere. I would have let them kind of put the ball in my court, and I'd have felt pressured, and I'd have been there all day working for nothing, thinking that I'm trying to make these people happy. Because at the end of the day, me and these clients are friends. We're friendly. I know their dog. I know their kids. And that's a term we kind of hear in the YouTube mowing land, or in the YouTube, I'm kind of, we know these guys are kind of friendly with, their dog, and, we're friends. Like, no, we're not friends. It's business.
Yeah. There's two different things. Now, that said, that doesn't mean I might give them a lesser price, but whatever I say is firm.
Right.
There's no, I mean, I might do like a pressure washing job. I might do a $700 job for $625 or $650. I'm not going to do it for $200 or something stupid. But
there's something different between customer appreciation and rewarding someone, if you will, a good client or a good customer, throwing something in because you like the personality, like your attitude. But just be careful when you talk about being friends with clients, because they will abuse you every single time. Every time.
And sometimes not even meaning to, it just happens. They come to expect something, and it's like a weird dating relationship. You got to keep shit in check.
Right. Well, yeah. And because that's a really good point when you talk about people wanting,
you really are dating them in a business sense.
In a business sense, you are, because, well, everybody expects something. Everybody wants a cheaper, I don't want to say cheaper rate, but when you get to know them, when you get to know someone, like, well, I don't know, if you met this guy down the road, big burly guy, never talked to you before, your first natural instincts are going to be the fight, flight, or whatever response natural. So you're going to be guarded. If it's a bigger guy, tattoos, bearded, has a old pan head or something, or he just looks apart to where you're like, man, this is kind of a bad guy. I'm gonna put my guard up. So we all have like our presuppositions, using a theological term. So like our presuppositional like thoughts on somebody until you get to know them. So like once you get to know someone, you'd be like, yeah, this landscaper is a pretty nice guy. And he seems to have a weak spot for X, Y, and Z. We all do natural sales techniques and different ways. So it's like it's natural for people to sell, and you're being sold no matter what. If someone is asking you to put something in for free, or kind of like just throw their little walkway in because it's small, it's fast, it's easy, you're already there. I'm a nice guy. You're a nice guy. Let's be nice guys, and you do work for me for free. And it's like, no. And that's the hard part, is saying, no, I'm not going to do that, bro. Like, it's not going to happen.
For some reason, for some people, that's the hardest word for them to say.
I struggle with it. I struggle with it still today. I would almost rather just ignore my phone calls. And I would, and it's not good. That's not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. And I get it. I mean, everybody can get into that situation or have times, it's like you'd rather ignore something than say no.
Yeah, that's definitely true. When you were younger in business, because we talked about your story before, and I'll link it right here, over there somewhere. There's a little box, maybe. If not, look in the description below. Where our previous interview, I was like 2 years ago, talked about your whole story, your background, all that good stuff. When you were kind of starting out and you were a younger guy, and you were getting out from under your dad's business, and you're just trying to do your own thing, you got tired of being, how do I say? You got tired of like just being a worker for somebody else, want to do your own thing. Did you ever fall into a trap of like, some clients kind of just got over on you? Some clients that just had some power over you
I can give you a good instance of one. This is the number one rule that I set, when you feel like you've been burned or something. And fortunately, I've only had one time that could almost turned into a really bad burn, but we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, real estate agents. Make sure you set yourself up where you are ready to say no matter what, because they will feed you a lot of shit.
Right.
I'll bring you so much work if you just do this for this price. And house flippers and the like, people like that, and interior decorators, we're doing landscaping on this project too, and we just wondered if we'll feed you so many jobs. I heard that one time. I fell for it one time, and I was like, never again. You're full of shit. And I kind of knew it before I jumped into it, but she was cute and all this shit, and I was just like, I'm never doing this again, because I'll tell them, you're going to pay if you want me, and if you want something worth being done, you're going to pay me, and you're going to pay me very well. You're going to pay my asking price. And if you give in 5-6 jobs down the road, if you're still calling me, now we'll talk some bulk pricing. I'll give you a little discount. But until you've given me a track record, I'm not giving you a damn break on anything.
That's a really good point. I think your camera cable or something might have came loose. It's kind of like got a little buzzy sound. Do you hear that?
I don't hear it.
I don't know. Let me try something real quick. Maybe I could be wrong. Yeah, I muted your mic. Maybe it's just me, but can you hear me good?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I hear some weird little buzzy thing. I don't know. That's really weird.
Oh, you know what? I wonder if it's the ceiling fan.
I doubt it.
Let me turn it down and see what happens.
Yeah. But while he's doing that, that comes to mind, and I'll let him know here in a second. I do see a lot of people get caught up into this little thing. If you do this, then blah 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 blah. Which reminds me, I see stories and I hear people say all the time, like, "Oh, I'm doing this work for this client. I'm gonna cut them this deal, and I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna clean this for them, or I'm gonna add this little bit of mulch in here over here because they're gonna let me put a yard sign up, and they're also gonna tell the neighborhood about me." And so it's kind of like a trade on marketing. It's like, well, you could have added that anyway and still also put you could roll it in when you qualify your clients or qualify your customers. Like, I think qualifying people is so overrated, or a topic that no one really talks about in YouTube. Like I never knew these topics and words until the second go around, when I actually started paying attention to what people like you were telling me before. Like, you qualify all your people
every time.
It's even like when you qualify, like, you never got nervous or built your confidence. But confidence comes with time and being able to say no and knowing who you want to go after, finding your target demographic. These certain qualifications come as you go somewhat. You know what I mean? Like about what do you think for the average new guy? Like what's some advice you can just say, like, look, I know it sucks, but you got to do this to be able to qualify better or something. Like what's some major tips for a newer guy?
Just it's kind of hard to sum up in so many words, but I mean, I do things. I just it's very non-confrontational, to be honest with you. I will ask things like, what's the scope of the project? What are your ideas? What are your thoughts? What's your budget? And if they just say, well, we just need a few shrubs around the house because we're going to put it on the market, or
right,
or something. I'll usually hard pass them right there on the phone. It's like, not your guy. And sometimes you can, they'll come back. There's rebuttal. Well, but you so and 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 so recommended you, and you come highly recommended. But yeah, but I don't do that small work. Yeah, but we just it's just a small yard,
and it's real quick. It'll get done.
Yeah, and Michael and his guys, we all heard how well they do the work, and blah blah blah. And a lot of times I'll just say, look, do you have a $50,000 budget, or something?
Right.
Sometimes something lower, but something up in that area. Oh no! Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and you just didn't get there overnight. That just didn't start happening. You just didn't blow up your business to where you're at now. It took years. Like when I look around, the average landscaper, average lawn care guy, even me up north, I was only in business for like 2 years. You know what I mean? And I'm already in a different area. And I thought I was going to be stable in that area. I don't know what life brings. I don't know what's going to happen. But, it's the stable. It's just being stable and consistent in business probably is the major. I'm sure you've seen landscapers come and go.
I can't tell you how many, but I will tell you this, and you hear this more over in Wash World than you do in Lawn Land on YouTube, about marketing and about being present and letting everybody know what you do, to get business, and let the right people know. Ned down the street, he's not the guy that you need to be talking to necessarily. You're
Right.
hungry, you need to do some work in the beginning, but your focus, like if it's a rainy day, and there you can't do any physical work or anything, you need to be over and as close to, if not inside, the $1 million neighborhoods as you possibly can be. Put flyers out, do whatever you can do without getting in trouble. Knock on the door, go see it. If you see a custom home being built, stop, ask the contractor what's going on. That's another recommendation I have, though. Never do the work for the contractor. Find out who the owners are and approach them directly. But it's things like that. That's how, when I started out, I had employees within the first 3 months, starting from a John Deere lawnmower at $200.
Right. That's yeah. And that's just coming with the sweat off your brow then.
I was hustling. I was like, I'm going to make this work. This is going to be badass. And there's no stopping me. And within a very short period of time, I had over 40 accounts and rocking and rolling. And I never had much more than that, because nobody was just, lawn care. I set off in the beginning, and what other people say, have a plan. If all you want to do is cut grass, then by God, focus on going to cut grass. I was the anti of that. I want the whole package. I want to do the fertilizing. I want to do the insecticides, the pruning, any landscaping you need, the mulch, the mowing, the whatever. We wanted to be a whole package. And so that's the clientele I got. And that's a much, much higher ticket and a much different neighborhood for people that are paying for that kind of stuff. So I was fortunate to be able to hire some people really quick and take off. And lawn care didn't last long. It didn't last long at all. I started dropping it like that.
Now you just started dropping it because you recognized What was it because that you enjoy doing design and landscape work better because that was kind of like your background,
That
or it
was the
was
original
because
goal.
so that was kind of any so you probably looked at the numbers as well and said if I want to scale something, I want to scale something with higher margins, I assume, or
Well, it wasn't just that. It was just, look, for me, it in landscaping, it is all about the art before it's about the business. So if I'm not being satisfied artistically, I don't want the work. I don't care what it is.
right.
Um, but lawn care, there's a need for it. There's instant cash flow, and it's also a way to stay present in neighborhoods and in people's faces. And that's the only reason I started it that way, is because that is the stepping stone. Um, and I was very fortunate. I literally started, and this is 1996. I was in multi-million-dollar neighborhoods
Yeah.
when a multi-million-dollar house was a huge freaking deal. You're way up there in life, and I also had some clients from the guy that I was working for because he owed me some money. And was always giving me excuses. That's when I just said, you know what? I was only working here to kind of figure out what the rest of the world was doing and what their pricing strategies were. It's pretty much time for me to go. And I took some clients with me. I said, if you're not going to pay me my money, you're going to wish you did. And that was the last thing I ever said to him for years. We've spoken since then. But I literally went to his top 10 clients and I stole them.
Yeah. What's the best way?
And you know what that you know how much that paid me a month? Those 10 clients was worth over $5,000 a month.
Wow.
So who lost?
So did you steal them by your only quality alone, or did you go in there and just be like, I got better rates, or like did you go in there and like lower prices?
I just reached out to them because I had all their phone numbers and stuff. I mean, I was in charge of everything, dude. And I called him up and said, look, I'm leaving. I'm not calling you to give you a discount on prices. I'm just letting you know that I'm available in my own world now. And everyone jumped.
So they liked your personality, if you will. You're the one that dealt with them.
I said, and I asked them all, I just said, look, I said, I'll keep you at the same rate. I wasn't offering any discounts. I've never, it's rare that I discount anything. Yeah. And people know that. So if I say, hey man, it's like, speaking of real estate agents, here's one for you right here. I have a real estate agent that I've done a lot of work for now, especially house washes and stuff. She's a Sotheby's real estate. So, big money, houses. And I guess about, I don't know, the 6th or 7th person had called me through her, wanting some shit done. And it included some landscaping. And I was like, They're like, well, we heard that Mariah, you did somebody else's yard, and we saw the pics, and that's gorgeous, and we want that too. And I could tell this guy was like a wheeler dealer kind of guy, not in a bad way. I could tell right off the rip. I can read people's personalities pretty quick. I could tell that he was going to be, might be a negotiator type, which is fine.
A challenge.
And I called Mariah and she goes, yeah, he can be that way. I was like, okay. And so I was on the fence about doing the landscaping because I'm in this. We talked about this in part 1 of this, or whatever you want to call that.
Right. And I might even afterwards I don't know if anybody if anybody just can't get enough of us, then like at the end of this, I'll probably tie it to it, and then it'll be like a super duper long video. But like if someone just says, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe they're done talking already," they're just so great at everything they do. I love them so much.
Throw this up too.
You're right. Yeah.
But anyway, I'm at this area where it's either it's just gotten too busy to be just me. And it was that way a little bit last year. And but I'm very picky about hiring people.
Yeah, that's what we talked. That's what we talked about. Let's get back into that because we talked about that a lot on the part one. You got a lot going on, and you've built another well-going business, but you're not trying to be out here washing houses all by yourself all the time. You got another truck you need to start running. And it's like, what do you want to do in 10, 15, 20 years from now, or 5 years from now, or whenever? Like, eventually you're wanting to walk away. So yeah, like go back into that and talk about your property and everything you got going on your property, and finding your guy, qualifying then the next guy you got coming up, or maybe not, or have you
here's where it all kind of kicked into gear. Actually, is this couple through this real estate agent. It's probably the first deal that I've given somebody in a while, and it wasn't much of one. He was I was on the fence about doing the job, which is funny, which is in and of itself a rare place for me to like do a decent job or, give a really, really, really fair price. I'm not the fair guy. I'm the asshole. And I'll tell clients that I'm the asshole. If there's going to be an asshole in the crowd, I'll just say it's me now. Because your yard's going to look like I want it to, or,
right.
Not it's that abrasive. Yes. But, does it, do I take their opinions and thoughts into consideration? Yes, because it's their yard. But you see what I'm saying.
I know exactly. Yeah.
But, I said shit on it. Maybe this is the block that I need to get me motivated more, because I've just kind of been waiting for the right person to come along. Now this kind of makes me taking these jobs forces me to just go find this person.
Right. The perfect guy's not out there. He's waiting on you to put something out there for just like.
And I'm spoiled because the guys in Charleston, they just know their shit, man.
It ain't that easy.
And I don't really, when it comes to labor pool and everything, I don't know many people up here still, so I've got to dig. But anyway, I thought I'll do this. And so I told him, I said, okay, I'll give you a bid on the landscaping too. And it's not a whole thing. It's basically a cleanup is what it is. And some mulch being put down. And so I gave him his price, kind of knowing what I thought I knew, and Mariah kind of backing it up. And so I went in a little heavier than I normally would, and I'll be down, man. It was funny. He goes, well, if you take $500 off that, we'll do it right now. I was like, good. I jacked you for $800, so I'm still $300 plus.
Right. So you were just kind of throwing that out there and just kind of. That's awesome.
I was like, I still got an extra $300 on it, but he's a real nice guy too. It's he's like, but it bothers me sometimes when you can look at a place and you're like, you're going to sell, and you're looking around going $2-3 million house, and you're going to try to bust my balls for $500. Really?
Right.
But there are people that I literally over less than $100, I've told them no and walked away.
Over wow.
It's like, no, sorry.
Yeah, that's being that comes with what you want. You've qualified all the people you want, because if you cave on this guy, then what's to stop you from caving on the next guy, and then the next guy, and the next thing you know, you lost $20,000 that month. You lost $120,000 that year by just giving away free work, or caving on $100 here, $500 here, because you want to keep your guys busy. And that's kind of one thing that makes me nervous about.
That's the danger zone right there. That falling for I got to keep my guys busy shit.
I got to keep my guys busy. That's a
danger zone.
Yeah, and I fell into that little trap, and I wasn't having all my guys super legitimate. It was paying cash, but I cared about the people that I had working for. Roman, the Mexican guy I was working for, my last business, that guy was awesome, but he had a big family, he had a beautiful wife, and he had another kid on the way, and I have a kid, and of course I had my other guys that were kind of like partnered up with me or whatever at the time, and it was so much. So I was taking on any and everything. And if someone said, "Man, I'd be like, oh, it's okay. Hey, we're here to compromise, here to work." This, and I'd say stuff like, what can make you? Because I knew right when they about to walk away, and it's like, oh my god, I can't, I can't leave. And I'm never going to put myself in a situation like that again. You know what I mean? So
it's terrible because usually anybody that I take the time to bother to hire, I already care about them because that means that I like them enough to want to be around them almost as much as I'm around my family.
right.
You see what I'm saying? And
Right.
so it's and like I said, since '96, I bet I've fired less than 5 people.
Wow.
But I've had people work for me for more than 10 years.
Right. Yeah. So you built the leadership. Leadership is so important, and we talked about this on the last one too, to where you want. I had a boss before to where I swear if he told me to run my head into the wall, this is gonna end good. Like this might seem like a bad idea. It's gonna end good. I was like, okay, I guess my better judgment. You as a boss, and I respect you. I like you. You never led me astray. I'm gonna bust my head against this wall and see what happens. So
Right.
like I've had a leader like that before, and I've also had a couple leaders not like that. So that's what kind of stuck in my head too. I'm kind of just staying on the lean and mean style, if you will, this go around, but that seems like the kind of guy that you are. And if you kept certain people around for more than 6 months, obviously you built that relationship and you built that trust. But we mentioned before, something when you have these people, you got to be a babysitter. And you mentioned that on the last one. That's why you're trying to qualify these. You're not just going to hire anybody. It's different from a day labor guy.
You become their brother,
Right.
their dad, their banker. You become it all, man. You know, and it's like David. His title was superintendent or supervisor, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And you know, he was the head of all crews. If matter of fact, you know, anybody and everybody that wanted to talk to me had to go through him first. You know, if he said no, it's no.
Right.
And if he fired somebody, that he didn't need to ask me anything, nothing. And I met him when I was doing some renovation work at a very famous garden in Charleston, and historic garden. And he followed me around for a long time after that. He moved up to Highlands, North Carolina with me, doing some work up there, came back down here with me.
That's family, yeah.
And when he moved back down here with me, I actually gave him a percentage of the business, just to kind of, you know,
I totally understand.
Keep the money coming for him. He was kind of out, you know, or raised didn't make much sense for the next step for him. So it was you know, a percentage.
You made him like what do they call them? Entrepreneurs, I think that's what they call them. When someone
got me.
It's just I think that people
I don't
go
give
to
a shit about
instead
like
of starting
that, you know?
your own. Well, this goes to like people who, because I have the opinion that anybody can be a business. You and Virgil, the guys who actually know business, say no. But you know, there's different people that say entrepreneurs. If like let's say I went and worked for you, I can scale. I'm not going to be able to scale my own business, but I can scale inside something that's already has systems in play, already plug and play, ready to go, and maybe that works
the thing
best
with me. The person that is the laborer that comes in with zero experience, probably relatively young, couldn't tell you the difference between a Japanese maple and the grass he's cutting.
Right.
You know, and they have the potential of uncapped income too, because you have a base pay, what, you know, 15, 20, 25 bucks an hour, whatever it is in today's, you know, current wage system. That's fine. But, you know, your 40 hours equals this amount of money. This is everything that needs to be done this week.
Right.
If all this gets done on Wednesday, you get your 40 hours.
Right. And that's where you could go to like a pay for performance type incentive.
It's production performance incentive is exactly what it is. You know, if you get, and not any serious repercussion if it doesn't get finished Friday either, as long as there's good reason. You know, that's fine. You know, it could have been and I always tell them, you know, weather does not, weather isn't an excuse. That's just playing the odds, both of us. If weather works for me, you know, y'all get certain advantages. I get certain advantages. If it rains for 3 days, it is what it is. Sorry, dude.
Did you let your superintendent make the call on, because sometimes you can do certain jobs on weather, and sometimes the weather is going to break about 1 or 2 or noon. Or did you let your superintendent make all them calls, or was you kind of like,
Oh,
was
David
he,
made all those calls, man.
and
Everyone.
you got left alone? Okay, so whenever you
Yeah,
had to get involved, it was
unless there was something drastic, or unless I just felt like I needed my nose in
right,
it.
right,
I never worried about the day to day. David was, I mean, there was many years that went by that where January and February, I wasn't even in the country. David was running the business,
right.
and
That's
yeah, and it worked flawlessly. I mean, it was, um, you know, because of modern technology, international phone calling is pretty much free these days. It wasn't
yeah,
then, but I would turn that on and I would say, if there's a damned emergency, here's the house phone number. Here's the cell phone number. I
yeah,
can't guarantee either one of them are going to ring in Costa Rica, but I know I have a signal.
yeah, yeah. That whenever you said the international calls, I was thinking whenever I was a kid in like middle school and high school, I had a girlfriend in another town. It was long distance, and like I'm I don't know. I never paid attention to bills and all that. I remember being a
Oh,
kid
that'll
and
get
like,
you.
well, the town closest to us was long distance, but like, I don't know. It was so stupid how close he was and how the phone lines worked. And mom got a hold of me and just was it put a knot in my tail, if you will, like over
Yeah.
phone calls. Yeah, I don't know. That kind of just jogged my memory. Maybe as anybody else is going down memory lane, thinking up all night. No, you hang up. No, you hang up. No, you hang up. No, yeah, I love you. I love you.
Yeah, that saying that 20 times cost you an extra $20.
Right. Now, nowadays, some of the guys like staring at the thermostat, like, I don't know, you son, who the fuck touched it? Who
Right.
touched it? I can't imagine being stuck with a long distance bill over the
Right.
you want to we need long. We got letters for free, 60 cents at the post office. What are you talking about? Long distance. You see this bitch at work or school. They don't go to work. I don't know. Yeah, that's
But yeah,
it's kind of
and I
dumb.
gave all that up too, because my wife got sick. I was just
Yeah.
like, whoosh. But in that reflection, um, I kind of got tired of it too, because I'm a very, very, very independent person. Anybody that knows me and is around me enough, they will tell you, they know that's the first thing to tell you. If I decide I want to go surfing on Tuesday at 3 o'clock, that's where I'm going.
Right.
Or kayaking or whatever the hell it is. Hell, there's times when, I'll be sitting right here. I'll leave and go to the mountains, literally go hike a 2 mile trail and drive all the way home 5 hours, 10 hours of driving just to get 2.5 hours of nothing, which is fine with me. But, I came back up with a totally different perspective. I was totally lean and mean. It's like, let's see what I can do by myself so that I don't have to worry about or answer to anyone, because people hate people. You hear this all the time. I left my job and started my own business so I don't have to answer to anybody. That was the dumbest reason.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Yeah.
always going to answer to somebody. And if you grow enough, you're going to be answering to a lot of people, because you think you're not answering to your employees, but you're answering to them all day, every day.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and everybody laughs and joke, and like there's a meme that goes around. It's like I stopped working an 8 hour shift or started my own business for freedom and time. Now I work 24 hours a day or something
Yeah.
along. I don't really know how it is. It's like, well, you don't have to be enslaved to your business. If you started a business for that reason, like what we talked about before, we talked about the book by Tim Ferriss, The 4 Hour Work Week. And that's how kind of like how you implement it in your style business. If you want to go
Mhm.
surfing, there's a reason that you work as hard as you did and you built the business that you built. So if you want to go surfing at 3 o'clock on Tuesday, and what tied it in was we talked about SEO stuff on Facebook and how you can
Right.
just online schedule. And it's like, maybe that's not the best move, and I want to get into kind of some of that too. But look, you know what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, it's a 24
Yeah.
hour business. You don't have to be a slave to your business.
No, it's, the 4 hour work week is, and I've read that book many times. It works, but you have to stay lean. And in a service industry, when, physically dependent activities are going on, it's not like you're doing the 4 hour work week with stocks or something like that.
Right, right, right.
Um, it, there's a cap, because there's only so much that one person can do and efficiently run the front end and the back end of a business. That being said, I don't run most of the back end of my business. I have CPAs and Sarah does a shitload of the office stuff for me because I can't stand it, and I never have. The first thing I ever did, actually, the first person I ever hired wasn't an employee; it was a CPA.
Smart, yeah.
And so it just, I was like, I do not want to deal with any of this crap, not even close to it, and I just want to be able to take this pile of receipts and give them to somebody, and that's what I did, and that's what I've always done. We talked about that. It was cost us my business partner.
Yeah, I seen him on the Dirty Blind Truth.
Thankfully
awesome.
he had just gotten out of school at the time and was starting his own shit, and needed some clients. And here I'm like, here, dude,
right?
I don't care what you're charging. I don't, because he, and I remember that. In all honesty, he's like, well, here's my rate. I'm like, I don't give a shit what your rate is. I'll pay it.
Well, yeah, because when it comes to, like, we laugh and joke about the 4-hour work week, but that's serious, that you can seriously implement it. Yeah, in the service industry, sometimes rain comes along and you're going to have to work hard. Sometimes you're going to work sun up to sundown, especially during the spring rush. Especially if you're lean and mean, there's going to be certain things. But if you want to build your business, if you want to scale your business to get there, you got to hit the pavement. Let's see, if you're done working at 1 o'clock or noon, you got a couple hours if you want to get out marketing door to door. We talked a lot about that, and I want to transition into that. But it's like, you're not going to get that business that you want. What they say, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. So like, the only way you're going to build a business is start a business 10, 15, 20 years ago. But guess what? You are where you're at now. So the only way to get the clients is SEO and Facebook and websites. That takes time to build. And I liked what we talked about last time, because we talked about like websites, and I'm not going to go through like GoDaddy. I was just on my GoDaddy not too long ago, and I took my billing information off of my website. I'm not going to host my website for my washing business. I am going to get better on my Facebook. I'm going to build an Instagram just for kind of do like what you're doing on your Instagram. But Google My Business is what I'm mostly focusing towards. And I know we're not screen sharing, but the first thing right here is geotag photos on, whatever, right beside it. Findlotsize.com, QuickBooks, Vistaprint, and then like, my other stuff, like that's GoDaddy right there. But like, that's what my main history thing. So this is something that I do take serious, but I don't want to be a slave to it at the same time what we were saying before. And so I'm going to utilize the sources at hand without wasting money either. I think websites is probably a waste of money in today's society.
And it is. And we talked about this last time. I have literally asked clients, and I've done it a lot recently, how much of my website, if any, did you look at? Every one of them? None.
Right.
None of them looked at it at all. What I've started asking in the past few weeks is, how many of my reviews did you look at before you called me?
Right.
You know what the answer is?
Probably. Oh, they didn't even look at the reviews? That surprises me. But I've never thought to ask. I've never asked, actually.
No. Now, some of them say when, in the decision process, they may have scanned through them then, but to contact me, they didn't. I was number 1 or number 2 on GMB, and so I got the phone call.
See, yeah, and that's what, like, me and a guy I work
or a
with.
referral.
Yeah. And with the guy I work with, he kind of like is always like, he thinks it's interesting. He's never been around anybody who's been in business. He's a factory worker, family, you know how it is. And he was always like, how you doing? I was like, not too bad. I made X amount of dollars this day, and I'll leave work early, utilize my vacation time and personal time. And he's like, oh, how'd you, he's just not seen it for first time. So he thinks $100 a day is good money. He's learning, but he's looking at it like, dude, like, and he's talking about like, Google. And he's like, how do you get to that number 1 spot? And I was just like, well, it's, Google My Business is big, but also maybe, and I could be wrong. I said, your website has a lot to play, but Google also has free websites now to where you can, you can link your Google My Business to it. But that's something I wanted to kind of look into, is the Google website. Maybe that could help it out, but it just takes time.
Here's the weird thing though, to get your Google My Business stacking and racking.
Right. Yeah.
You need everything that the clients don't look at these days. You're going to need the photos uploaded, geotags. You're going to need the reviews because it's all for Google. Apparently it's not necessarily for the client.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure, and maybe subliminally, their eyes just see a decent star rating overall, and they don't bother to look. I'm sure a lot of them, if they saw 1, 2, or 3 stars, they're going to go, "What's up with this guy?"
Yeah, they're gonna roll up. They might read the comments.
They may not look unless they feel compelled to because of some negative appearances, not necessarily positive appearances. But yeah, none of them. And I was talking with Will about that today. I was like, the funny thing is, none of them have looked at my reviews.
Wow. Now, how are you getting your Instagram in front of their eyes?
I do a lot of location tagging, like the local towns.
Okay.
I'll tag the real estate agents.
So you're still marketing through Facebook then?
No, I mean, it goes there by default because it's tied to my Instagram, but I don't do a damn thing on Facebook. I don't do anything.
See, I was thinking, you know how that little circle thing on Facebook when you pay for ads and stuff, you know what I'm talking about, where you can draw it out and.
Yeah, I don't do any ads.
Okay.
I've
because
done
I
them
never had a
before.
good return at all when I did that. None.
I did them a couple of times when I first started the pressure washing because of this. I started the pressure washing in a town where I know no one. In Charleston, I never had to worry about getting money to find in work and landscaping. Even from the get-go, I grew up in a town that has money. I had decent ties, and when the world knew that I had stepped out there, I just always had work. Now, I had to do some networking. I had to put boots on the ground, as some of them say, so that enough people knew what I was doing and they could throw it out there.
Yeah, networking, powerful.
I grew up I mean, I had been networking for 24 years. I grew up in the town, you know?
Yeah.
And so that makes a huge difference, man, and things like that.
I totally agree because like a lot of I haven't been hanging door hangers like I should be. I'm still focusing on where I'm at now and just kind of keeping like almost like a side hustle. You know, a lot of people want to act like they got a big business, but I kind of just want a steady side hustle right now until I figure out, you know, life in general, until after this baby comes. And, you know, because you know how that's, I'm not gonna justify anything. I don't have to, but
right.
Networking is so powerful because I'm not from Ashland, Kentucky, Ironton tri-state area.
You're in the same shoe that I was in when I moved up here.
Right.
New business, new town.
Right. New business, new town. And what's beautiful is I love the foothold that I'm already starting to establish by not doing a whole lot. And it's coming from marketing. Rob Klein from American Pride Lawn Maintenance lives in, I'm not going to tell you where he lives. I mean, he lives across the river on the Ohio side of the river. And Rick Romans lives on the West Virginia side across the Big Sandy River connected to the Ohio River. And like Rick sent me to a video I did the other day, washing this little tiny, not tiny, it was a pretty big driveway, but I washing this driveway, no big deal.
Oh, your last video?
My last video. And then the neighbor comes over. That's that church we was talking about. And if I get that church, it's like, that's, you know, that's on $4,000 right there, you know, just from these buildings. And it's just like, all that came from not door hangers, not this and that, not whatever, but it come from just networking with people that are from my local area, face to face, stuff like that. That's important. And I think, you know, you connect with other contractors, you connect with real estate agents, you know, landscapers that, you know, talking to landscapers who don't want to wash house or something. Landscapers know everybody. Lawn care guys know everybody.
They know everybody.
You know what I mean? And they're in a certain area. There's a buddy of mine that lives in a decent little, nice little neighborhood. I go to his house and bug him all the time. I help him weed eat his hillside. Why? I don't go help him mow weed eat hillside, hang out with him all the time because I love him that much. It's because I want people in that neighborhood to recognize my truck. Exposure. And they see my truck. If they feel comfortable with you, they see you. That's why when like I had big billboards on the side of my truck, pretty much, you know, signs, people logo their vehicles all the way up. That's one of the best marketings because you feel comfortable when you feel like you know somebody. You see them all the time. You see doing work. I had people come up to me whenever I had these big signs. It's just the same as getting your truck lettered. They'd be like, "Man, you guys are everywhere." I'm like, my pocketbook ain't telling me I'm everywhere, but you know, they're just getting comfortable. So it just takes, what I'm starting to realize, it just takes time being in an area you know, putting it. I'm gonna go through
See,
market
here's the
this
thing.
hanging signs.
I see this all the time on a lot of the pressure washing stuff and the landscaping and lawn care is the fact that everybody is marketing looking for some return. I put out 6,000 flyers and only got 2 phone calls or maybe none.
Or maybe not.
When you're marketing yourself, you have to expect 0 phone calls. That's at the end of the day, it's not what it's about. It's about creating familiarity.
Right.
That's why
Yes.
that's why everybody says you have to hit them 2 or 3 times. It's true. People want to feel like they might know who you are or can trust you.
Yeah, and that's what
It's
I'm
the
just
exact
now
same
starting to realize. That's what I'm
it's the
just now starting
exact
to realize.
same reason that I go to almost every house. I do plenty of average Joe houses, don't get me wrong, but I go to most of them too. There's only one neighborhood because it's a retirement community, it's a private gated area, but they're smaller homes and it's for the elderly of the elderly that are still highly active, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so I could they somebody in there in tradition can call me and I can give them a price like that because every house, there's a few houses in there that are a story and a half or 2 stories. The rest of them are 1 story, under 1,800 square feet with a 2-car driveway and a 2-car garage. I know exactly what the price is, and I'll tell them, anybody else, I'm going to your house. You know why? Because I guarantee you, if I can talk to people in person, I've got the job. Doesn't matter what I'm charging.
Yeah, that's the gift of gab. That's beautiful because I got the door hangers that I got. It it got the little blank box. Your house wash is going to cost this much, but like there's this area called Green Valley. Every house in Green Valley is pretty much it got built in the 50s or something like that after a big flood. I don't know the iron history. I don't care, but like they're fairly similar, and it's all the people who live there are middle class Catholics that like it's just like they live in their own little segregated area. These Catholics that live in a bi-level style home, but it's all like that's why I think I was telling you I'm gonna stack up Memorial Day special $250 house wash every house in there. They're small little houses that I mean they're almost I don't even know if they're considered 2-story. They're like barely bi-level. They're small homes, but the people in there that care about not everybody, but the majority care about their home. They make a decent wage. They're the people who work at Marathon. I know you don't know what that is, but it's like it's a good job on the river. That like they one of the better paying jobs. So it's like I'm gonna hit every house in there, but I'm not gonna go across the area and hit the same house. I'm not even gonna waste my time in certain areas. And I think a lot of people just kind of get caught up, just thinking that they need to hit every house. I'm not gonna waste my time. If there's a super duper dirty house, I'm not going to put my flyer on a super duper dirty house because I'm paying for that. And I'm not doing it. Their house is already filthy. You know what I mean?
Rule number 1, it's rare that I will put my shit out at a dirty house because people that let their shit get that dirty don't want me. They're not looking for me. They're looking for the guy that's going to do it for $50, or they keep telling themselves that they're going to do it themselves.
Yeah,
I go to the biggest, best neighborhoods. A lot of neighborhoods around here, I can't do anything because it's the private gated communities with their own police departments. And if you put a flyer out of any kind, it's a $500 fine.
Is your area like a tourist area, or is it just like old money retirement area?
It's old and new money retirement at 99% of it.
Because I seen when you was riding your BMW around, I think it was like last year, and then like was it Silver Oaks? You were showing all these how the trees line the roads.
Oh, that's my street, the Live Oaks. Yeah, that's my street.
Yeah, man, it was just so beautiful, and how you got the water everywhere, and like you live in a moneyed up area. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, and I do, and all under strategy, dude. It's work hard, play hard.
Work hard, play hard, and and
there's nothing better than being able to live in a neighborhood where you want your neighbors to be your clients.
Right. Yeah. Closer to home. More. Yeah. I definitely agree. There's I'm in this little Westwood community page because I live in this little area, and so I joined this little page. I've been kind of just commenting here and there. Like I took your advice on the last thing. I'm not selling in that group yet. I'm just kind of getting familiar with something comes up, like someone asked something about garage sales or something silly, and I was like, nope, haven't seen nothing. But I did it under the Jesse James House Wash or whatever my name is on there, and
Right.
just kind of commenting under that. But that's another reason why I'm super duper happy and excited about this next business venture, because like this dominant tri-state area has 400 almost 500,000 people that live in this 20-mile radius. Dude, it
Wow.
comes in like 3 cities, and it's like 20, maybe a 40-mile radius, but it's not very far. It's in my driving if I need and it's a ton of people in the Huntington, Ashland, Iron. It's like 3 cities all jammed together, all relies on the river. You know what I mean? And it's like we can't live on the hillside, so it's like everybody congregates together. So it's like beautiful. And as I look at such the opportunity from where I come from, living up north, dude, living up north it's just a bunch of podunk farmers. And it's like, I don't know how I made any money, and I don't see how people complain about living in Columbus, complaining that they ain't got no money. Like, the work speaks for itself. Just real quick, there's a guy at work that you just talked about, the guy that thinks he's going to do it himself, right? There's a guy I work with. Beginning of the season, I said, hey, I'm going to do some free house washes for the guys I work with. I'm trying to build my uh, YouTube page back up, and I'm trying to like just build some marketing material. Guys I work with, people I know, I said, I'll wash your house for free, stuff like that. And this guy was like, kind of weird about it. I'm like, well, he come to me the other day. He sees some of my videos coming out. And he told me, well, if I got to pay someone to wash my house for $300, I'll just go buy a washer. I said, well, no disrespect. That's cool. I said, I don't think that your $200-300 washer is going to be able to wash your house, which I know it will, but I just don't kind of want to discourage him.
It won't be able to wash it within 24 hours though.
Well, I just kind of, and I kind of wanted to run it. I was like, hey, that's totally cool. If you need it done, I'll do you $200 special, And then now he finally came to me today. Hey, is you still wanting to, you still looking I'm like, I'm kind of tied up, dog. Sorry, can't do it. Like, when I was going to do it for free.
Sometimes you just got to let things sit and let people come to their own conclusions.
I think what he did is I think that he like tried to wash it. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then realized like, how am I gonna? Or I can already see like the marks he's left on the side of the house, just like Kayla's dad. Like, I'm gonna end up painting their house. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm gonna end up probably doing some work over there, washing it for sure. And I was looking at it, and the oxidation and the marks that are on the side of the house, and I'm just like, the siding, I'm just like, oh my gosh, there's nothing I'm gonna be able to, and that's your average Joe, everyday guy. And that's why I love pressure wash, because most people think that's how you wash a house. So everybody's like, well, how are you gonna wash my house without a big lift? I'm like, what are you talking? Oh yeah, I got plenty of machines to do it, stuff like that. And I show up with my 3.5 gallon a minute machine, and their house is washed in 2-3 hours.
And when you get into really nice neighborhoods, there's really no escape from that. It's like last Friday, was it Thursday, Friday? No, it's last Friday. I washed the Clemson University recently took all their IT stuff and social media in-house and hired someone, and they hired this guy. I don't know, late 60s, early 70s, very athletic still, very active, loaded with money, and one of the nicest gated communities probably on the East Coast, just on the other side of the water right here.
Yeah.
Literally $5, $6, $7 million house. He's out there cutting his own grass. He's a doer. It's not like he's not cheap. He's just a doer.
Right.
And his wife is the same way. They're still, they go kayaking, they run, they just do. When he initially called me, he just said, hey man, I need a price for getting my house washed. I'm like, okay, cool. What's your address? And I went and I checked it out, and I called him because I had some questions. And he said, well, I don't need the whole house washed. You can forget the porches. And we're talking about a 7,000 square foot house.
Oh, okay. And, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And it has these, it's 4 stories tall, and it has, and 2 of the stories are these wraparound porches on 2 sides of the house.
Wow.
Massive thing. And he said, don't do the porches. I do them. I just bought a brand new pressure washer. I like doing them. It's just a wash down. I just need the big main walls done on the 2 north, the north and the west side of the house. And because it's the least amount of sun, and it's shade, it's under 2 big live oak trees, and I don't have anything that can reach that high.
Right.
And so I literally popped the question to him. I said, no disrespect here. I said, I mean, you own a 7,000 square foot vacation home. This isn't even their primary home. It's the vacation home.
Wow.
And I said, "You instead of being at the beach, on the boat, or on the golf course, you're gonna wash your porches."
That's a oh, you put him on the spot.
And he goes, "How much is it to do the whole house?" I told him, and he said, "Do the whole house."
He got to thinking he's probably hit him on the ego a little bit too. He's like, what is it? Summer is breaking around the corner. That kind of reminds me. That's awesome. That's a great.
But it was funny because I show up and he's out there mowing his grass with a push
Yeah,
mower, man, Honda push mower, 20-inch, and laying, mulch out, and his wife is planting flowers and
right.
stuff. And
So they're out there.
he's
They're out there getting it.
yeah, but I showed up and they were like, "Well, how do you get up?" Because it's the porches are on the second and the third story. He's like, "Well, how do you get up on the porches?" I'm like, "I'm walking through your house, dude." He's
Damn,
like, "Oh, that's why you wanted us to be here." I'm like, "Yeah, that's why I wanted you to be here." Because there's a lot of usually after when somebody like him, I do for the first time, they get on the list. Um, they'll leave their key at the guard gate for me,
mm,
and one just stays there. So when I go through, I say I need the key also for such and such, and they just give it to me, and I go on. Um, but because I have a rope that I just with a weight with one of those little swimmy tube things. What do you call them? The little foam spaghetti things.
oh, the noodles things.
Yeah, the noodles so that it's soft, and I just take it and I launch it over the balcony with a rope on it, tie off the nozzle, go in the house,
Wow,
go up, after I cranked everything up, and
that's
because this is
yeah.
what I love about the remote downstream
Yeah.
injector turn on and off thing because I used to have to go up there, water down in any house, and almost every house I do, go back down to the first floor, turn the soap off, go back up, so and rinse and repeat and everything. With that remote, I just stick my hand out like this, click
Click
click,
click.
and I'm off. So
Wow.
and
Yeah,
and
that's awesome. Man, I like the remote downstream injectors and that noodle thing. That's a really good idea. That more reminds me of like my boss. Like he's like kind of wealthy, and his wife's like some fancy doctor, and he's just an idiot moron like us. So like he rubs it in our face that like
right.
you know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
they're making like almost half a mil somewhere around there. His wife's like special. He's not. So like he was like he heard me talking, I was talking to my other guy, I was like, "Yeah, I normally do about 20 cents a square foot, but, you needed it, I'll be more than happy to come out and help you out 15 cents a square foot, blah, blah, blah," and he overheard it, he's like, "I got a brick home." I was like, "Yeah, it'd be 45 cents a square." He's like, How did you jump from this to 45?" I said, "Well, it's brick." He's like, "Okay, well," and I was like going on, he's like, wait a minute, he realized that, like, he got a price hike, just because he's like, always rubbing it in my face, and I was just like, "Nah, it comes with the territory, dog." Like,
Want to
he's like,
brag of that money? All
so
right.
and the thing is where he messed up is he knows that I know what, because
Right,
he don't
right.
mean to
Now
brag and be a
now he
dick.
can't now he can't back down.
You're right, get it. But he's more of like a doer guy anyway. I don't think that he was just showing me pictures of the deck that he stained, and he's like kind of semi-retired type thing. Like they let him come in and work. Like he's taking a consulting position.
Right.
I don't know what the hell is going on at the shop anymore. But yeah, they since COVID now some of the bigger senior managers are now consultants. Somehow I don't know.
A lot of big companies do that, man. I know,
He's only working two
it's
days a
surprising
week.
to hear that they kind of still do that a lot. My grandfather was, with GE. He was a vice president of GE for a long time, and he retired
Yeah.
at 62, and they put him, he was like, I don't want to quit working, but I want to quit working. You know what they did? They said, "Oh, we're building a new plant in Puerto Rico. Do you want to go down there?" He's like, "Yeah."
Oh, wow.
So he got hired as a consultant.
Yeah. Just keep him on payroll to do nothing for
Yeah,
it felt like.
yeah. Sit
Yeah.
down, man. He spent a month in Puerto Rico, come home for a month, and back in Puerto Rico for a month, come home for a month, and I was like, "What do
That'd be
you do
awesome.
down there?" He's like, "Walk on the beach."
Walk on the beach and have a good time and relax.
Yep,
We
totally
talked about
chill.
we've talked about, well, even that Clemson guy, we'll let it tie in with it, allowing clients to kinda market on your behalf. We talked about it whenever we did a show about a week or 2 ago, and then I'm sure this Clemson guy and even the areas that you're doing work for, because if you got, like, someone like you got the gift of gab, or you can sell yourself really well and you do good work, clients are automatically just going to want to be braggadocious, if you will, being like kind of
Oh yeah.
flexing or bragging is kind of part of it. And if you just got your house washed and it looks good, you're like, yeah, I know a guy. Everybody wants to feel like they know a
They
guy.
know the person.
So what do you
Yep,
say to
you're
like
right.
someone that's, how can you get your clients to kind of market on your behalf better? What's kind of your thoughts on it?
Um, this is just starting to take place really with the pressure washing, just because it's a very young business, and it's also once again, we've already spoke to this, but in a town where 3 years ago I knew one person outside of my immediate family.
Right.
And so, but in Charleston, that's a totally different thing. That's what I relied on 100%. I mean, back in 1996, old Jeeves was just about to start showing up on the internet. That was about as good as it was going to get.
I've never asked
Google
Jeeves.
wasn't far behind, but old Ask Jeeves and
Yeah.
AOL was it.
Yeah.
And so you had to rely heavily on people talking about you, and how people spoke about you was 100% of your game on the back on kind of that end of things. It's and so and people today, the same psychological thing applies though. Once you get that nest egg of people that will promote you, brag on you, you don't ever have to worry. Even today, you don't have to worry about Google or social media or advertising ever again. That's why I slowly just started back, and I've got an ad running on Nextdoor.
What do you think about that
Um,
app? I keep hearing about it.
I like it because around here, there's two neighborhoods that I'm trying to crack the code into, and it's fun. I come um, in in my vicinity in Georgetown city limits because of um, where my business is. I rank number one, and I have since day one, because nobody, everybody around here was relaxed and nobody was really focused on the old Googles. And here I come with, enough to be dangerous. And so I immediately rank number one. I outrank two businesses that have been strong and heavy in pressure washing here for a long time, and not small businesses. And
Right.
within 3 months, poof, Indigo Home Services is at number one.
That's awesome.
Um,
That's
and
yeah.
and
Sorry.
still there. And so, but over Polly's, um, which most of is in unincorporated stuff. It's technically, everybody calls it Polly's, but Polly's Island is just the small island that's the beach, but it's grown all around it and unincorporated areas. So Google treats it differently. And it took me a while. Last year I started kind of popping into the top five. It'd be 5, 4, 3, sometimes 2, but it dropped me back off again. Now I'm steadily at number 2. The number one is a guy that's been in business for 18 years. And I get almost every phone call that he gets, but I rely less and less on it. And I lean on Nextdoor a little bit because, like I said, there's two neighborhoods that I can't seem to get any business out of. And they're neighborhoods that I'd like to be in, but I rarely get calls, and it's just like, it's weird. I'm like, there must be a catch over here. Somebody has to have this business in these neighborhoods wrapped up. Well, sure as
Lockdown.
shit, I get a phone call to Heritage a couple weeks ago, and I've been trying to get in this neighborhood forever. She's like, well, there was a guy. She
Uh-oh.
said, I wouldn't be surprised if you start getting a lot of phone calls. I'm like, oh, there was a guy. Tell me more.
Yeah, yeah.
And she said he did
Sounds like
almost every house in this neighborhood that passed away last year.
Ooh.
Oh,
Ooh.
thank you for the information.
Yeah. In name of the Padres, if you
Even in today's age, he had that no name business, no presence on any kind of Google, social media, anything. Had that both those neighborhoods locked down.
Yeah.
And it's not they're not neighborhoods that I could go promote myself in. They're gated communities.
Yeah.
With security.
Yeah, you don't have to have, like you said, you don't have to have the big fancy everything. It's like sometimes the guy, I work with a guy named Tommy, and he mows grass on the side, and he's got more. He's tried to give me, but we're on different pages. But just the amount of yards that he has and he does on a weekly basis, and still carrying a full time business without business cards, without anything. He's just a chuck in a truck, if you will. He's a better businessman than half the guys I've met on YouTube. And he's, you know what I mean?
With the landscaping, I haven't had business cards or any kind, or no social media or website ever.
Right.
Except for I put it on Instagram for a while just to kind of post the designs, but that's all I ever did. But none of that. And I got business cards early on, and I never ordered any more ever.
Yeah. And that's beautiful, because I think more people put too much
phone.
emphasis. I think you're right. I think people put too much emphasis on
Way too
all
much.
the stuff that you need. Like, get yourself some bandit sign. That's my goal. Get some bandit signs. And I don't think I'm going to get a lot of money return off the bandit signs, but I want people to recognize my number, kind of just know I'm out there. Maybe I'm put like, my number is going to be
it. It's like radio ads are the same thing, or were the same thing. It's all about, and TV commercials. It's Coca-Cola and McDonald's never have ever, in Pepsi, in their lives, have ever made a commercial trying to convince you to buy something. Ever. Never. Do you ever see anything? Do you ever see them advertise shit on sale?
No.
No.
The McRib. I don't know.
It's not on sale. They have it for a limited time, but it's not on
Oh,
sale.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. Not on sale. The only McDonald's commercial I can think of even is kids to come play during the Hamburglar stuff back in the 90s. I remember them commercials. Or like,
it's 100% brand recognition, and that's
right.
that is the only reason they advertise.
So if you would implement that in your service business, well, if you implemented something like that in your service business, being that they're not necessarily a service business, but you don't have to go there. So they're kind of technically same thing as we are, almost. Like, people choose to go there. People choose to have us wash their house or mow their grass whenever they don't have to. So how could someone implement some of their strategies versus being like, "Hi, my name's Jesse. I mow grass. If you want to save your time and get to the, Lake Erie and do some fishing, hire me." What is a better way of pitching?
That has never been my sales pitch, oddly enough, but I did use it once, or I have used it. It's not my go-to. Does that make sense?
Right. No. Yeah.
If I need to, if I feel like if I apply pressure to a close, that's usually my go-to. Are you really going to waste your time with this, or you just want to do it?
I like it because it kind of hits at the ego and the pride a little bit at the same time as like,
well, it's also an awakening. He's like, holy shit. Yeah. If I did this house, I would literally be here all weekend long doing this house.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. I do like that a lot. You ever think of any other sales tactics that you can think of offhand?
Just be you.
Yeah.
Be you and be honest. Can you do that? Then say yes. If you can't, say no. I got a job today because of another pressure washer company around here that I haven't seen here at all. Oddly enough, I saw him minutes before I pulled into this house in a different neighborhood. Eco something. Nice wrap on his truck and everything, but I've never seen him before, but he's, must be doing something. Okay. I learned he's only been in business for a year. So, he spent his money on some marketing, but maybe not be doing a whole lot. Yeah. But I wound up indirectly stealing a client from him. I wasn't trying to, but what happened was his client called me, not through him, just Google search. Here's one time where it did work, Google my business, and they had Home Depot deliver some stuff, and they've got this. This is a beautiful home, man. With this is hard to explain. It's a beautiful house, and I pull up. It's a 4-car garage that's kind of in an L shape off the house, littered with European cars, and it's a nice paver driveway and everything. And I pull up in there. I'm like, damn.
Yeah. And
so, and here's it. Indirectly, I'm gonna put a couple other things in here. Here's a big seller for me. So I pull up and I can't see anything because he had called me on the phone and told me about all this hydraulic oil and shit. And I pull up and I'm like, I'm standing in the driveway going, I don't see shit.
Right.
And he comes walking up and it very, dude, stains the size of a dime. And but it was a slow trickle all the way up the driveway to where they dropped the pallets for the construction guys that were doing something in the back.
Right.
But if he wouldn't have pointed them out, I don't know that I'd ever seen them.
Yeah, he wanted to clean.
And he wants them removed. And I said, okay. I said, I can do this. I said, now it's unsealed pavers, or it's unsealed concrete. It doesn't matter. I said, this is porous. I can't guarantee this stuff's coming out.
Right.
And I
setting
said,
your expectations from the jump.
Setting expectations. It may look 80 to 90% better at best. If it all comes out, it's a good damn day.
Yeah, because that's real quick, because that's very, very important that you're setting your expectations at the beginning. And it's easy to say, but it's a whole lot harder to explain yourself why it doesn't look good at the end of a job versus them going in. And even if it comes out 99%, they're going to be like, wow, he over delivered. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh, no problem. He said, well, how much will this cost? And I said, I can't just put degreaser out here and call it done. I said, because that trail of stuff that I clean I said, this driveway looks very clean right now. I said, when's the last time it's clean? That's when he told me about Eco Wash. And it was just like a month ago. And I said, the reason I'm asking is because I can clean all this, and what looks clean now won't look clean when I'm done. I'm going to have to clean the whole driveway.
Yeah.
And I said, because your sidewalks that go around to the back are connected in the same material, I can't stop there either. I got to go all the way around to the back, and I also have to do the patio. I said, while we're at it, I said, we can do this two ways, and I'll do them both ways. I said, I can just do a soft wash where I just fan the Kim on and let it do its deal, and maybe it all evens out. If it doesn't, I'm going to have to put the surface cleaner on here. If I put the surface cleaner on here, that means I'm going to have to resand the joints with polymer sand.
Yeah, I've never done a paver drive.
He said, well, how much, which reminds me, before I go to bed, I got to send his estimate out. I said, it's going to be about $5,200. I said, I'm going to throw loose numbers out there. Just because, it's quick math. Right. I haven't measured anything yet, but just by looking. And I said, I said, I'll do it step by step. If I put the degreaser on here, it comes out good enough to your liking and I don't have to do anything else, we'll stop there. I'll itemize the whole thing for you. I said, but if we got to go the whole 9 yards, count on, we might as well just say it on the high end, $5,200, give or take 500 for a firm estimate when I send it to you.
Yeah. That's so smart.
And he's like, okay, that's cool. And he said, I just want it done. I was like,
expect that.
I said, well, why didn't you just get Eco to do it if they've done your roof and your house and all this? He said he didn't want to mess with it. He didn't know anything about getting grease out.
That's what the guy said?
Yeah. I was like,
wow.
He doesn't know how to apply a degreaser, I'm like, that's odd. I didn't say that out loud.
Right
here. And, but I was like, okay, but here's what happened is they have the landscaping in this yard was just over the top.
Beautiful again, wise or
amazing.
Oh, okay.
And I said, he asked something about the plants because there's some roses nearby on the edge. He said, what's going to happen to them? I said, nothing. I said, your blooms may wind up with brown spots on them if I splash some overspray. It will hurt the blooms. It will not hurt the plant. Guaranteed. And I said, I can cover them, but I said, if we do this in a month from now, because of the heat down here, I don't like to cover them. That can wind up causing more problems and burn your plant up more than what I splash onto it. And I said, it's just a risk. He said, well, how do you know? I said, because I'm a horticulturist. I've also owned a landscape company since 1996 in Charleston, South Carolina. It's still going right now. I just love what I'm doing here.
Right.
He's like, oh, really? I need you to look at something. Look at these azaleas back here. So I'll go meandering back in the backyard, and there's his wife planting plants in their potters and stuff back there. And I was shocked at that because I was like, certainly they've got a pretty good landscape company around here doing this, or maybe a private gardener. It just
Right.
looked that good. It looked
Wow.
like it didn't have weekly attendance. It had daily attendance.
That good. Okay. Wow.
That good. And so he introduced me to her, and I was like, "This yard is beautiful." I said, "Who does this?" It was her. She said, "It's all me." I was like, "No shit."
So she
She goes,
had to have been a
"Gardening's
horticulturalist or something.
what she said. It was her hobby, and
Oh.
and her husband said, "Well, he owns a landscape company in Charleston and does design work and is a horticulturist by education. So I'm going to take him over here and ask him about these azaleas." She said, "Oh, I want to hear what he says too." And
Does that
so
make
we
you
went
feel a
back
little
to.
different knowing that she know he might not know nothing, but she knows her stuff? That kind of make you feel
I'm
like, oh,
not
I'm
worried
gonna
about it because I know
right, right, right,
all
right,
confidence. I know more than she does. Doesn't bother
right,
me.
right. But for a regular
And
homeowner, she seems like
she's
awesome.
sharp. She's
Yeah.
sharp. And but they wanted confirmation that one of the big chain fertilizing companies that we've all heard of before,
Oh yeah.
um, wanted confirmation that they, from somebody in the know, killed their azaleas, and they did, flat out.
Yeah.
You could, she's like, "Well, how do you know?" And I'm like, "Because if you look at this, only the front side of your bushes are dead. Like somebody went through with with the sprayer, and instead of, putting that herbicide down on the ground, they did this and it killed all 10 of the front of those azaleas."
Yeah, I've
I said,
seen
"I know
them.
that's what it is." I said, "But if you
Yes.
don't believe me," or she said, "Well, they're saying it's from the winter freeze." I'm like, "Winter freeze does not kill azaleas." I said, "If that were the case, there would be 10 million azaleas around here dead. I said, "Your neighbors still have theirs."
Oh,
And she goes, "Ooh, I never thought about using that argument on him." I'm like, "Well, you
that's
need to." And she
so
said, "Well, is
she's
there any way to get any proof that these things died?" I said, "Yeah, call Clemson Extension and send them tissue samples. They'll tell you,
oh yeah, you already yeah, should have known. Oh,
the
that's
pathologist will tell you how those plants died." She was like, "Really?"
uh-oh.
So it's those conversations. And again, because I show up in person to give quotes,
Right.
I find something in common every time. And that's that. If anybody take anything away on sales pitches, there is no pitch. If you don't know
Right.
anything about German cars, go find out about German cars. If you don't
Right.
know about Tesla, go read about Tesla. If you don't know about good architecture, go read some good architecture books. If you don't know basic good quality gardening, not mowing grass, gardening, and plant knowledge, especially in this industry when people are pretty much know that bleach can kill a plant and are going to ask that question, get
Right.
yourself some basic education on it so that you can confidently answer their questions, and you'll get the job.
Yeah.
Almost. The only reason you didn't get the job 9 times out of 10 is probably because you yourself didn't want it.
Right. That's a really good point because a lot of times they call you, they already know something's going to be, they already know the price range is going to be roughly about something. You know what I mean? So they already got an idea. They already want the job. But if you're not personable or if you can't break that wall, if you will,
Right.
that's what sold me more. To come to think about it, I have sat and thought, man, what's some of the best sales pitches? And I've listened to things, I've read different books and different like how they got them little conference things, all this junk. But what has locked me in for getting work is just being me, who I
Comfortable.
am. Yeah, and just being honest. And of course, I can pretty much get along with and talk to just about anybody. I can what do you say, mold. I can be molded if you will. If I need to fit inside a conversation, I can. Not everybody's got that kind of
Right.
gift of gab, if you will, and I'm
And
blessed with it.
if
So
you don't have the ability to mold into the conversation, create a conversation
that you're comfortable.
that you know something about. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about with cars and stuff. Because there's plenty of times that, you know, people are hardened when people come up and they know they're about to be sold something.
Right.
They're doing one of these. They give you the one
Oh
eye,
yeah, oh yeah, tell you something, bitch. I'm on
yeah,
you.
and well, let me think about that. I
Let me
can
ask my
count
wife.
on both hands the number of times in my entire life I've heard, "Let me think about that."
Right. That's awesome. 'Cause
And it's not because my prices are too low. I can promise you they're not. Everybody around here would tell you I'm probably the highest price around at in landscaping or in pressure washing. But the fact is that if I can see it's a lot like in landscaping. A lot of times I'll say, if it's like a redo or something, let me see your irrigation system to see how that's already laid out, to see if I can keep that in mind when I'm designing to save your money on your irrigation system so that it's not being completely modified as well. Sure, of course they open the garage door because that's where all the timers are.
Right.
If there's a nice car in there, me and that homeowner are going to talk about that car.
Opportunity to talk about it.
We never talk about landscaping again. If I can talk with them with confidence and knowledge in that vehicle they're driving, which is their baby.
Yeah.
I never have to bring up my skills again. I don't even bring up why I'm there again.
The last house I washed, well, one of the last houses I washed fully, not just the little projects here in our driveway. The last house I washed, the guy's in a Christian rock band, and we just talked because I'm going through my own little spiritual thing. Of course, everybody's like, "Yeah, you're whatever." That's off tangent. Yeah, I know I know I have my issues, and I'm not baptized. I'm looking for this is yeah. I don't have to tell anybody. I don't have to justify anybody. But anyway, I was talking to him about his rock band. We were talking about music first, and then I said something like I can't remember what it was, but I know he's in a Chris rock band. When we talking about music, and he had mentioned something. I think he had said a quote or something that was biblical, and I was like, "Hey, that's He's like, "Oh yeah, it kind of goes along with my band. It's kind of like whatever." I was like, "Oh wow, I didn't know it was a Christian rock band. That's really cool. That's different." And we started talking about the Protestant Catholic debates and how I'm friends with these guys. And he said, "Yeah, I'm a non-denominational Protestant, whatever." And I was like, "Well," I automatically took the Catholic side and started giving him a hard time. And he knew that I would have took either way, just to kind of like play, debate, argue, because they were fun topics. But we talked for like, I don't know, 30 minutes, 45 minutes in his yard. And then after I got the job cleaned up, well, there was a big, tip at the end of like at the end of it. And like, do you always get tipped? No. Did I get tipped because we talked? Probably not. But I think it's because of my work. But that definitely
it had something to do with it.
That definitely has some. Yeah,
people
exactly.
tip, but the amount you're tipped is a direct reflection of the good work that you did. But it also is a more direct as to how comfortable they felt around you and liked you.
Right. Yeah. It was so awesome that like I just missed that. And it was like, still early getting back in. I'm still early getting back into business and getting out in the field and working to where I've been away from
it. Y'all had something in common that you could even just banter with each other about. Yeah. That's what sold the job. It's just like I was selling a car, and it doesn't have to be European cars. They might open it up and there's classic cars in there. Like, get this, dude. The guy I was telling you about with the
Clemson guy?
No, with the driveway, with the hydraulic oil that I went and talked to today. Guess what his neighbor owns that I got to check out? Marilyn Monroe's Thunderbird.
Wow.
Badass.
Her
actual Thunderbird.
Someone's dropping some money over in that area with that car there.
It's a $500,000 car.
That's ridiculous. And that her ass
$500,000 car.
And you got to just what? You didn't get to drive it around, did you? Yet?
No, but
you're gonna talk your way into it somehow.
Beautiful black Thunderbird, man. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like, God damn. It just that's that 500 grand's hobby money, man.
Yeah. I can't even. Yeah. I can't even. And that's what's beautiful about it, because like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I miss about being out in the field and working. Like, yeah, okay, I like having my own business and I like, whatever, make it. Yeah. I don't care. A lot of times I can work some overtime and make whatever, but it's being out in the field and learning and talking to these people and being all over. That's what I truly love, selling stuff. And
it's great learning who people are, man. That's what I love about it more than anything.
Yeah.
And it's just like I said, because of cars, not only did I get to talk to who I was talking to, but because we got into that conversation from gardening somehow. Oh, I know, because there was tracks in his driveway going in the garage, and he was wondering what they are. And I'm like, it's not tracks at all. I said, do you wash your car? He said, no, I have somebody come clean them. I said, do they put cleaner on your tires? He said, yes, every time. I said, that's what's on your pavers. And he's like, oh, and we started talking about cars. And he's like, oh yeah, you got to see what you got to see what my neighbor's got going on. And all of a sudden, poof, next thing I know, the neighbor's involved in the conversation. And
so yeah, you'll probably end up having some work, some work over there.
Now that guy knows who I am too.
Yeah. That is awesome.
Knows that I'm a car nut, because
and he's obviously,
we know is go into car talking about what I've owned, what I own now, what we're doing with it. And because I don't know if you know, a friend of Will's has had a 63 Galaxy 500 for sale. And I bought it.
That's when he dropped it off at your house.
And I are gonna do the cannonball run in it. And I was telling him about
You're gonna do the cannonball?
You're gonna do the cannonball run. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do the cannonball run.
Or where are you gonna start at? Are you gonna start in like do you have to start in New York?
Yeah, it starts at New York, LA.
Yeah, I didn't know if you had to start in New York or if it was just coast to coast. You
No,
know?
everybody has a common starting point. Now there's different cannonballs now, but the original one, because there's a European one, there's a world one where you got to put your cars in a boat or a plane to get to the other side of the world with. But maybe one day for that, when I can spend $500,000 on a car.
What do you think your time's going to be? Are you going to get the bigger gas tank? And are you going to like really focus on time, or are you going to worry about the experience?
It's like my son said, we don't care if we're dead last. We're coming in style. That
is all. I've seen some people take Cadillacs and take the whole back seat out, and it's just a fuel tank. You know what I mean?
We'll probably add a fuel cell in there because it's a 63 with a 390 in it. It's going to get like 8 miles to the gallon.
You're gonna have to.
So yeah, we'll probably add an extra fuel cell in there. But the thing is we just want the experience. So awesome. Not that we won't see if that thing will hit 180 out, in Nevada where there's no speed limit, or Utah or something. But it's our goal. If we wanted to put a vehicle in place to see if we could win, it would not be that vehicle.
Right.
We would take, we would get like a late 70s, early 80s Porsche and totally gut that thing. There'd be nothing but seats in it. 2 seats, 2 dudes. And they're also air cooled engines. You don't have to worry about all that overheating bullshit. You just put gas in it and go.
You take everything out. You're sitting on them plastic lawn seats.
You're sitting on plastic Recaro seats and seeing how fast you can go and how long you can stay awake.
I think the fastest someone got, I think it was like 23 hours or something.
Yeah, it's under 24 hours now.
That is amazing.
That was set last year or year before. I think
it was the year before, and it was like that BMW, or what kind of car was it? It was like a hybrid car.
Yeah, it was a hybrid.
Yeah, when they put it together, and the cops couldn't what's funny about their story, I followed their vlog and different vlogs and stuff. They were like, cops didn't know what car to call in, because it's like issues. But it's cool because people go ahead of you and they let you know, like, hey, you got a bear coming up here.
Yeah,
that is so awesome.
I'm assuming you've seen Cannonball Run the movie.
No.
Oh, no. Dude.
I didn't know there was a movie.
You get off of here, watch that. It's probably on Roku or something for free. But I mean, that movie is the basis for the reason we are doing it, because I mean that movie is from my era as a 9-year-old or maybe even younger. But Henley, my son, is heavily into those movies as well. And and since he was 5 or 6 years old, he's always said he's going to own a car shop and build the baddest cars on the planet.
He's still into cars right now, right? Like that's
yeah.
Because we talked last time, not this recently, a couple of years ago, we talked about it on the podcast. And I think
he's still heavily into that stuff. That's the whole reason this car is here, man. We're gonna put the wrenches to it and do a few modifications to it. Not much. We're gonna put a very expensive suspension and like Willwood brakes and everything on it, and make sure the engine is up to par. Maybe do some simple modifications, but we're not going to rebuild the motor or anything. It's in perfectly good shape as far as we know for now.
So that's next year you're doing that, or this
no,
year?
Probably 2 years. It depends. The promise is he has to graduate to get it for us to do it. It costs just to enter. It's $20,000.
Oh,
and so
I did not know.
It's a big deal. Yeah. And then there's other fees. Plus the expense of the car itself, whatever that amounts to.
So yeah, it's not just something the average guy is just going to jump into.
No,
it's an elite. Yeah. It's an elite thing. That's definitely going to be an awesome like father son moment, like
Yeah,
memory
I
story.
was like, you've, and I don't have any qualms. I know he's going to graduate, but he can graduate in a year if he wants to, but um, and he'll still technically be graduating early because even with the semester that he had out because of COVID, um, and couldn't go to classes because of the credits he got, college credits he got in high school, he's still ahead of the game. So, but he's like, Dad, I might just sit back instead of, trying to cram it all and get rid of it. He said, but sometimes I wake up and I'm like, let's get this over with.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, whatever. I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing's going anywhere. Nothing's, I was like, when you graduate, whatever it is following that, and assuming we have the car ready too. So,
right. Yeah. Man, that is so awesome. I did not know that. And I didn't think for some reason, I just came across a random vlog a couple years ago and then I got to watching car videos and then tornado videos. It was just one of them weird YouTube days.
tornado videos.
Yeah.
You sound like
Like,
my 5-year-old. That's his fascination right
oh,
now. I mean,
like
3-year-old
there's
is
this guy.
tornadoes.
There's this guy on YouTube. I can't quite think of his name right offhand, but I've watched every one of his videos. And it's like it's the same thing. It's the same storm over and over again. It's just for some reason I
I can
fell into
promise you, Pierce has watched him. I can guarantee it.
he's got a bunch of tons of views and it's so awesome. This guy he'll stop, chase some snakes around. I was like, this guy knows how to do a vlog, and that's what
Yeah.
makes it that's what makes it kind of fun. But I don't know. I didn't know you was into cars. That's like I knew you were into cars. I didn't know you was into like driving cars across the country. Like if anybody doesn't know what the
Oh, yeah.
Cannonball Run is.
Yeah, oddly enough, man, I mean, nothing heavy. I mean, I've got track time. It's been a nice little hobby. I've owned all kinds of cars from Challengers, BMWs, Triumphs, nice, old 4-wheel drive pickup trucks. And I mean, to be honest with you, you name the genre, you name the style, I've probably had something.
Yeah, I remember I don't know, not too long ago. Like it must have been, I don't know, 20 years ago, or I guess when I was a kid, people used to have like junk Novas and just old muscle cars sitting around.
Mhm.
And like I always told myself, I'm gonna get a Chevelle or I'm gonna get I wanted a Nova. And I've been now that my kid's here and I have another one on the way here in a month or two. Like, I want to have a Nova and just restore it as like a little project thing for him. But dude, I can't find that. Dude, they were all over when I was in high school and stuff. Like
Yeah,
you can find for $1,000
they've been
bucks.
hoarded now.
Yeah, you can't find them nowhere. I remember in high school, like multiple people who had Novas or whatever. I've always just paid attention to the Nova. My uncle Doug had one. He's like, I'll sell you this for $1,000. I'm like, well, that's so much money. There's no way in the world I'll ever in my life have $1,000. And I'm thinking now is like, you dumb stupid.
That was a steal.
Yeah, and he was just trying to help me out because he knew I was kind of into cars. Every high school kid's into cars, and he's like, "Yeah, of course I probably wouldn't have it now anyway." So it's kind of whoever it went to, God bless them, but they're fuck them at the same time.
Right. Yeah, dude, there was a time. I mean, up until I've just kind of changed with age a little bit. The past 2 trucks I've owned are probably the trucks, 2 vehicles I've owned the longest in my life. Up until recent times, I never had a vehicle for 6 months was a long time for me.
Wow.
Whether it was brand new or not, it was like flip it, get something else.
How's that new truck you got now that you got off your not father-in-law? I think it was.
Yeah, father-in-law. Yeah, actually, I just cleaned it up and fired it up the other day. What was that, yesterday or day before? Shit, every day runs together now, man. Because it's like Groundhog Day. It's just that time of year where it's busy and it's constantly the same thing, man.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But yeah, that was a godsend too, man, because truck prices these days,
dude, ridiculous.
God. I just kind of given up because not necessarily given up because I was just like, until I find if it's not exactly what I want, then I don't want it. And most of the times I'm flexible, if it doesn't have the sunroof, big deal. Okay. It has everything else. Let's roll. Now it's like, if it doesn't have exactly what I want, screw them.
Yeah. There ain't nothing wrong with that.
And then of course, old Ray was like, was it 3-4 years ago? I tried to buy this truck off. I was like, nah, I might need to haul something to the dump one day, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
The
whatever.
same truck you got now off him.
Yeah, that never moved in that whole 4 years, never moved an inch.
So you're gonna have the is that gonna be, are you gonna drive it, or are you gonna have
That
your guy kinda take off in it?
that'll eventually be, whoever the guy is, take off in a truck. I'm
Yeah.
gonna wrap that one and everything.
So that's gonna be the work. That is so awesome, like, it's funny how, like, things fall in your not you or me when I say your lap, I meant, like, whose
People in
ever lap
general.
that needs that time,
Yeah.
yeah, because you needed a truck because for where you're wanting to go in business and what you're wanting to do, you need a guy. Well, if you need a guy, you need a truck, and you've been complaining about this, "Hey, give me this truck," and he wouldn't do your deal, you got the truck. A few years ago, like, I don't know, quite a few years ago now, I got out of, a rehab, and, I needed a car, and I was just like, "Man, I've made so many mistakes, I don't know what I'm going to do." And this is, like, August 26th, 2014, something like that. Who's counting, you know? But I am. But anyway, I when I got out, I was like, "Man, I don't know what I'm gonna do." And then a buddy calls. He's like, "Hey, I got this old Cadillac." It was an old Cadillac Fleetwood, baby blue, kinda like more smoke gray, like, it was an old Fleetwood boat. It was an old boat. I loved it.
Land yacht,
1990.
man. Land
Loved
yacht.
it. Loved it. Had a digital board, but it had the unibody frame, so it kinda like, whatever V8 power, true power with the digital gauge, just awesome, just float everywhere we go.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. He called me, he says, "I'll sell you this $500." I said, deal. Well, give me well, I ain't got a job. Let me get some cash together." He's like, "Okay, well, I don't know, just come get it and then make me payments." I'm like, "Okay." And I made like one payment. And he's like, I don't I don't need it. Just you can have it." And he signed the title over right then and there. And I was like, "For $100, you're gonna give me a running
Hey,
car?" And it's like, it sometimes in life it doesn't feel like good things happen. Sometimes in life it feels like, oh, woe is me. We get down and stuff, but sometimes things great happen. And things great happen when they need to happen. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't going to get rewarded if I was still going to. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about like
and that's
divine destiny or nothing, but it's funny how it
that was the
works.
funny thing with this one is, like I said, 3.5, 4 years ago, I'm trying to buy the thing from Ray because it's been sitting for, I don't know, at least a couple years before that. And, it's a 2006 F-150 just to work, XL,
Yeah.
extra cab, not even a 4-door. And so, and you, no, I might have to go to the dump, or I
Yeah.
might buy some furniture.
I might
An
need to go to the
excuse.
mailbox and back.
Yeah, I might want to drive it to pick up a Christmas tree,
Yeah.
and whatever, Ray. Okay, I'll shut up. I'll
Yeah.
move on. And then it's like we go up there to, start helping him move down here and stuff. I'm like, Ray, what
Yeah.
are you gonna do with it, man? I'm ready to fork out some cash. He's like, oh, you can just have that damn thing. I'm
You
never
got
gonna
tired.
do anything.
You got tired of hearing about it. That is that is awesome. So how you gonna deck
Like,
it out? You gonna put
I don't know yet.
I like the
I
hose
need
reels. What hose reels are you going with? Did you go with the fancy brand Titan?
actually no. I have Southeast soft wash reels,
So
the
the
real
big
deals.
real deals. Are they that
Yeah, and they're nice. They're worth every dime, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was looking at them, I think Liberty reels on Amazon. They're kinda ugly, but, like, I think they're like $80 a reel, $83 a reel. That's probably what I'm gonna roll with at first for a little bit. And, man, there's no way like, I'm tomorrow, I'm taking my toolbox out of my truck, but I have a half cab, I guess. It's like you know what I mean? It's like kinda like a little back seat to where, like,
Yeah, king cab,
it's gonna
extra
be
cab, or whatever they call it.
yeah, it's yeah, I got the car seat back there. I have to put another car seat in the seat beside
Batman.
it. It's gonna be tools. So, like, my kids are just gonna have to, like, whenever the second kid gets here, he's gonna be a baby, but Jesse Michael's gonna have to deal with it. He's gonna, like, I
Right.
don't know. It's because 'cause I'm taking the toolbox out and I'm putting them tanks in there, and I've already got it sketched out. I've been drawing at work, like, how I'm gonna design my truck. I'm so excited for I don't know, just a simple 12-volt system, and I wanna get it as cheap as possible just for, like it's funny when you go from lawn care, you want, like, the biggest, baddest, most expensive stuff to where when you get into the wash world, it's like, "How can I get it as cheap as I can possibly?" I wanna
It's
pay
the
damn near
opposite.
next to nothing, and
Yeah.
it's so different. So different.
And trust me, no matter how much money you're bringing in, that doesn't change. It's like, I can do this myself. I got this figured out,
Right.
but it's for me, like creating and doing is in my nature. Just like I said before, the art comes before the business, and the business is basically doing nothing more than supporting my artistic desires, and it's the same with pressure washing. That I wouldn't call anything artistic about that, but it's the same process. And where I put emphasis on that creativity is how I build my rig, or how I would like to see it and how I would get there.
Yeah. Okay.
Sarah could tell you I bet I've torn that thing down piece by piece down to, the hose clamps.
Right.
Had them all stacked out and redone the whole thing.
Hose clamps.
Well, it's not even new. It's like, where can I put it now?
Right.
And just rearrange. And the thing is I probably will get a professionally built skid at some point in time, possibly.
Yeah.
But the thing is moving all this around, I learned my habits and what's going to work best for me, or maybe not even just for me, but for a lot of other people in efficiency. Where does this need to sit? Where it takes less time to reach over here to, turn something on, or grab this hose reel, or, what works, or, curbside, or, okay, now if we need to put it, duplicate the system, which is where I'm at now, on a trailer, where does the same, ergonomics apply when it's on a trailer? And so, I've been messing around with that, and the trailer is built now. I haven't used it that much because technically it's 100% a backup system at this point. But things are different on it,
How far can 200 feet of hose really get you? Or do you think the 250
about 200 feet, Jesse?
Well, like, do you ever find yourself saying, I need the 250? Because I'm looking at the Flexzilla deal on Amazon. You know what deal I'm talking about? There's a 200, but you can also get a little bit more. You got 250.
Actually, that's a lot. I do have 250 feet on mine.
So you got the 200. Now, have you ever been like, gosh, dang, I wish this was a little bit longer? You ever get stuck? You're like, or is 200 like, man, I didn't realize this is quite a lot more than what I realized.
That's exactly what you're going to say, because it's if you can't get it within 200, 225, and because I don't know of a time that I've actually like stretched out to zero, and I've never had that happen. Never had that problem.
That's what I was thinking too. I'm just
now
trying to
there are plenty of homes that, because a lot of people in pressure washing say, "Oh, never park in the driveway."
I always park in the driveway, so that's something I shouldn't be doing.
You want to sometimes you'll want to stay away from it, because even if you just spill a little bit of bleach and they don't want their driveway done, but it's dirty, you're going to leave a clean spot. But sometimes you have to. I mean, like some of the homes I do, I mean, it's like meandering through the forest to get to their house. You're not going to sit at the curb and do shit,
right?
Unless you have 2,000 feet of hose,
right?
And so it's
So that extra little bit, that Flexzilla hose is like super. I've been looking at it. I've been staring at it every day in my Amazon cart, and I'm just like, I'm about to pull the trigger on it.
Just pull the trigger on it, dude. Yeah. You got to, because it's really good hose.
That
the Pure Tech is good too, but I like the Flexzilla the best.
Yeah, I was messing with that's what I was looking at, the poly braid stuff at like a Rural King the other day, and I was like, man, this seems kind of like super not flexible at all. I don't know if I want to deal with
stuff. It's not when it's nice and hot outside, it's very pliable. But other than that, it has a memory. So if it gets cool, or if say it's even raining enough to cool that plastic down, it wants to stay in that rolled up position, and it just gets to be a pain in the ass.
I don't want to have to deal with that. Can you put a downstream injector on a soft wash system?
You could. I know.
Or is that a stupid question?
No, Stacy, Lawn Commander.
Yeah. I ain't seen him forever.
He and I talk to him from time to time on phone or text or whatever. And I was talking to him about it, and he's pretty kind of wicked smart when it comes to engineering and that kind of.
He's a fabricator by trade.
Yeah, he's a fabricator, and so he's like, oh, because I had the same question. He's like, yeah, you can, and you just do this and this and this, and I'm like, I don't have a fabrication shop, Stacy.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, technically, yeah, it just oddly, there. But what I did find is there are. I happen to remember that the injection systems for fertilizing in greenhouses, basically soft wash because it's just the pressure from your home, basically same shit that be going through your garden hose pressure.
Just
I was like, well, if
drawing.
that pressure, if those downstream injectors is basically what they are, will turn on to inject fertilizer
Right.
at that
Right.
low pressure, then technically it's going to turn on when I want it to downstream off of a 12-volt system. And I that's kind of the
Yeah.
road that I'm going down with this trailer build.
Yeah, because I was thinking like worst case scenario, you could like even I was thinking, man, if you can just like downstream for vinyl houses, and then if you was batch mixing, if you had like your like a roof wash or like a brick setup, and then you can just downstream for like houses, and it's like, oh wow, like you can just throw the two, put your dip tank in your other clean water tank and be good to go, and you can just
Dude,
downstream.
I've got my two systems pretty set, and I've flip flopped them back and forth a couple of times. What rides in my truck right now? Because it's a Tacoma. I have a 7 foot full length bed on mine, and that's rare, especially in the smaller Toyotas, and the Tacomas.
Yeah, for some reason I was thinking you drive an F-150 though. That
No, I
two-wheel
had
drive.
one, but
So,
I got rid of that like almost 2 years ago.
so yeah, I'm still behind. That was a dope truck too, though. I like it.
But I shit. Now you may forget. Oh, it
Tacoma bed.
on in the bed. What I have it set up as is if I'm doing a driveway as well, which I used to hate doing them. I didn't give a damn about those things, and I still really don't. If somebody calls me for a house wash and they don't open their mouth about the driveway, I don't say anything about the driveway. I don't give a damn. And so, and a lot of times, actually, we talked about not cutting deals. I will cut a deal there, though, as much as I hate doing them because I'm
Right.
there, and it's just I'm not worried about the downstream injector going bad. I'm not worried about my 12-volt system going out or the battery dying. It's just turning the water on and going. Um,
Right.
so, if I feel like I need to squeeze a number, it's going to be there, and maybe that's at the same time. Maybe that's why I really don't want to do them. It's my own psyche against myself in some way. But anyway, but if I know I have to do a driveway, which for some reason I'm doing a lot of right now, and every year there's more and more just driveways. The driveway is in the packet for the day. I take just the truck and that skid. Or if there is no driveways, I can swap skids where it's just a 12-volt system, slide it up in there. But it's also set up to where the 12-volt goes into the trailer real. It's where its home really is, because that's where I have my DI system for the windows. So
That's
somebody says,
open trailer.
yeah. So if somebody says I need my windows done, okay, bring in the trailer. So if I bring the truck and the trailer, I've basically I have three systems I can wash with, plus the DI system for the windows.
Now you don't do interior window cleaning or nothing.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
hell yes I do too.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. See, do you sell it by the? Excuse me. Do you sell it by the pane? Is that how you like?
By the I do it by the window, yeah, by the whole
Yeah.
window. But it's something I won't tell anybody I do windows, but if they ask about it, okay.
Yeah, that's something that like I just
And there are people that I told no to too. If you do windows, no.
right.
Because I can look at the house and go, I don't want to mess with that shit.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's ain't nothing wrong with there. All right. Well, we're coming up on 2 hours. I'll give it a. I'll let you go, and I want to eventually reach back out to you and have a actual live stream, stuff like that. So if you want to leave the audience with anything now that we didn't cover, whatever, you're open to it.
I think we pretty much went
I think we pretty much covered it,
and I really do. But like I said earlier, just get out there and do you. Be honest. Find common interest. And if you think you don't have common interest with high ticket people, go read something.
Yeah.
You know, these people have nice homes. That means nice architecture. You know, these people have nice cars. So read about them. Read about classic cars because you'll run into them too. Like I just said, I got to see Marilyn Monroe's Thunderbird today. And you know, things like that. And there's a lot of times that you're going to be speaking with the woman of the house, man. So you got to find something that she's possibly interested in, like gardening overall or paint colors. And you've got to find out each person is very different as to what they're concerned about too. So you got to be able to read these things, and before you know it, you're not even talking about whatever it is you went there for. Your knowledge is confirming to them that, okay, this guy's not just somebody spraying water or just mowing my grass. This guy is smart. He's well-rounded. He's educated even outside of his field. He's dressed clean. Truck may look like shit, and I'm not saying mine does. I've got a relatively new truck. But don't be worried about the equipment and the vehicle you're driving. Make sure this is presented well, and this is presented well. And I guarantee you'll get a lot of your jobs no matter how high you are.
I love it. I totally 100%. Well, yeah, I definitely 100% agree. So with that, go to Indigo Home Services on Instagram. All the links will be in the description below. I appreciate you guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit all the buttons. My dog has to go outside. Yeah, I'm out of here. We'll see you guys. Hit all the buttons. Later. Peace.
Later.
And this is the part where I should be editing out, and it's probably going to be like a more bonus half. But
if they stuck in there for 2 hours, they deserve a bonus, dude.
They stuck in here for 2 hours, and the people stuck in, I'll probably maybe insert lost footage from the last one. That'd be like a 3-hour video, so you know people would jump around. But are you going to bed, or are you going to go jump on that what Will's got going on?
I'm going to go jump in there. Plus that estimate with the guy I was telling you about the hydraulic oil, I've got to sit here and do his estimate and email it to him. So
right on.
I'm going to be up.
Well, I'll see you over
I can't be at my job until 10:30 in the morning, so I'm not worried about it. Yeah. You know, that's the thing with some people, with retired people with money. They don't want to be disturbed until they finish.
I've been told, can you come around 11 or noon? I've been told that quite a few times. So I've been booking people around noon, around 10. 10 is where my area is because it's still cool enough. But whenever I'm spraying water or spraying bleach, you know, hey, I don't get I'm not there all day. So it don't really even bother me to be the heat of the day. But we ain't even in the hot season yet.
No, man, we haven't even come close to getting there.
Yeah, we ain't even got close to. So, all right, I'll see you over Zoom.
All right, man.
In broadcast.